What's going on, y'all? It's Mason Bleasdell, sales agent here for the Garages of the Americas, and I wanted to make a dedicated video because one of the very first questions that every interested buyer asks is, what are the sizes? What can we do with these units? Now, we're gonna walk all the way through what the different configurations as well as the two different sizes that we offer here at GOTA. And we're gonna start right behind me. So we've got two different size units, and there's multiple different ways that we can configure these as well, depending on the space needs you have. Now, this is a 30-foot wide by 50 foot, and these are interior measurements. It's very important to note that. That is very different than a lot of the other complexes around the country. But this is a 30-foot wide by 50-foot deep unit. Now, all of our units have a 50% coverage mezzanine, so that totals up to this unit being 2,250 square feet. Obviously, this is still under construction. There's still little things to be tidied up here, but this is a tremendous amount of space, and especially with that 50% coverage mezzanine, very usable. Now, a couple of the other little things I want to point out. Everything here was done for a very specific reason, and I have to give full credit to Tim, our developer, for just thinking about all these little things. You'll note some differences on our units. For example, you'll see no posts whatsoever for the mezzanine. These walls are thick, and the benefit of that is that all of the supports for the mezzanine are within the wall. You'll also notice too, the only utilities running inside of this unit are the utilities for this unit. Our back wall is extra thick specifically so that, since there are multiple units in this building, power needs to be run to everyone, water needs to be run for everyone, all of that is within the back wall, just maximizing floor space and flexibility for folks who want to put a drop ceiling upstairs or potentially even downstairs. Now, you'll see we are fire sprinklered in here. That is for safety for the Travis County Fire Marshal. But again, that was even configured, tucked up as high as we can get it, and configured so you can use it with a drop ceiling in the future. You would just have to flip those heads around. Now, other little things you'll note, our staircase does look very different than a lot of the other complexes that you'll see around the country. And that's for a very specific reason. First and foremost, we have a 14-foot clear height at the bottom edge of that mezzanine, which allows so much flexibility. Not only can you put an Escalade up on a car lift, you could put an RV in here. Literally Class A RV, air conditioners included, will fit up under our mezzanine, just maximizing floor space. But once you factor in the rise and run of the stairs to get up to the mezzanine, you really have two options. The first option is the typical one that you see, where the stairs cut into that floor space. Now, a lot of folks sell that as if you are getting the full square footage of the upstairs, but by the time you factor in that you've got a cut out in your floor, it just makes it so much less usable, and little things like configurations change a lot because you've got that space that you've got to awkwardly work around. I love the fact that Tim very thoughtfully put these in to where the staircase curves up, which leaves that mezzanine, again, 50% coverage, completely usable. So let's go upstairs. There's a few more things on that one. Now, on the upstairs, again, full coverage. Now, in our 30-foot unit, this is 750 square feet. And you'll note as well, so obviously we have a pitched roof ceiling. At the lowest point in the front here is still a 10-foot floor ceiling upstairs. And you've got way more than that by the time you get to the back of the unit. Now, that was designed specifically because so many of the different complexes around the country, Tim used to literally, he drove around the country and he'd pull up to the front gate of the complexes that he could find and literally sit there until someone would ask, what's going on? Can I help you? He'd pull in and just took so much info. So many owners were amazing at just providing feedback, what they liked, what they didn't like. And one of the biggest complaints was you either have ceiling height downstairs, so you can put your car up on a lift, or you've got ceiling height upstairs and you only have one or the other. That's even found in places around the Austin area. This does not have that problem. We have many folks who plan on putting in, dedicated rooms, office rooms, whatnot. You've got so much ceiling height in here, you could easily put a drop ceiling, still have a 9-foot ceiling within, your room, and have some storage up top. It also just does not feel claustrophobic. We have tons of windows, both in the garage doors, up above the man door, and of course within the man door itself. And for our special units that allow for windows in the back, we've even offered those as an upgrade for owners. Again, just makes this space so usable, whether you wanna make this a lounge, an office, or a place to stay while you're at the racetrack for the weekend. There's just so much you can use this space for. Now in our 25 by 50 unit, again, all the same things apply. We still have the same design for mezzanine, still the same design for staircase, and those are still interior measurements. We're just 5 feet more narrow. Now, a couple little things that go with that. Our garage door is also 2 feet more narrow, so just little configurations, but something to think about if you're planning on putting, a big Class A RV bus or a toter home like a couple of our owners are planning on. You could still fit one through this door, just gonna be a little bit more tight, but still, this is huge. Easily room for 6 cars in here, still open up your doors, all that, and you could totally pile more in. Again, just the ceiling height in here, it's all the little things that come together to make this so cool. Now, there's also a couple of different options. If you need more space than this, as we have many owners doing, one of which is even combining 4 of these units, we can combine them in multiple different configurations as well. In building 8 just across from here, we have one buyer in particular that's getting 2 30 by 50s and combining them front to back. And as you can see, that entire space is completely open. Now, that buyer did specify to divide the upstairs level of it with a wall. We can do that. We can also leave it completely open. Again, all the structural supports are within the wall. Opening front to back can be completely open. Now, I wanted to sneak you into this unit. Now, this is obviously in an earlier stage of construction, but this is a buyer who's getting 2 30 by 50s. And again, we can combine them the exact same way as 25-foot units as well, but 2 30 by 50s and combining them side to side. Now, for these, if you are looking for that more space and you want to have the side by side, we can do this a few different ways. Now, this owner specifically specified that he wanted to be able to close off the units between them. So we actually put in the same glass switchable doors that we have in our clubhouse conference room. Very cool. And we've got one up and downstairs. However, with the exception of the support for the mezzanine here in the middle that's within that wall, we can open these and configure them really any way that you're looking for. We've had somebody inquire about leaving that closed off and having the front part in front of the mezzanine opened up, or we can just maximize it and open it as much as we can, again, with that structural support there in the middle. Lots of different ways we can combine and get more space. And again, we've got one buyer here getting 4 units together. That is massive in total square feet. And again, with the exception of the structural supports, we can have it completely open. Now, if you're curious about coming out and seeing one of these and maybe exploring a couple of these different configurations as well to find out exactly what you are looking for, we'd love to host you out. We are doing site tours at this time. You can reach out to me directly, Mason Bleasdell. I'd love to show you around out here. My contact info is on the screen and down below. Thanks for watching on this one. I hope this was helpful to you as you decide. I'll see y'all next time.